Hello guys, my name's Colin and this is Colin Talks Crypto. Thank you very much for joining me for this action-packed episode. We're going to cover a multitude of topics, everything from the subject of are we in alt season, because it's sure starting to feel like it. We're going to talk about going to the moon with Bitcoin, the ultimate Peter Schiff burn, earthquakes in Puerto Rico where I moved to enjoy 0% capital gains on my crypto trades. And at the very end of the video, I'm going to talk about the ketogenic diet, a completely non-crypto related topic. And I'm going to talk to you guys about why I'm on it, how it works, and what benefits I've noticed. Yes, guys, it definitely feels like we are in some bull market territory. Maybe just the baby steps, but baby steps nonetheless. Up is up. And let's take a look at some prices here. So Bitcoin, $8,085. We have surpassed the $8,000 mark. Bitcoin Cash, $267. Litecoin, $50. Ethereum, $143. EOS broke the $3 barrier, and so on. And let's take a look at a couple of charts here. One thing I just noticed, and I think this might have been a recent addition to CoinMarketCap. Correct me if I'm wrong, and if I'm just blind and I completely missed this, let me know in the comments below. But CoinMarketCap now shows the price of altcoins as priced in Bitcoin with this orange line here. So this line is showing the price of Bitcoin Cash as it relates to BTC. And you can see that it's climbing, which means that it is gaining relative to the value of Bitcoin. So if you are holding $1,000 of Bitcoin Cash and $1,000 of Bitcoin as of about 3 weeks ago, you would be up more on your Bitcoin Cash. And I think that's a really cool feature that CoinMarketCap added here. Another thing that's just useful for our purposes is that we can toggle these things off. So you can click on these and we can just look at the price. Sometimes I just get confused by all the different lines going on, and it's nice to be able to turn that off. So if you guys didn't know about that, and I'm just sharing that with you guys, you can turn those off. You can toggle those off. So for the Bitcoin price, let's go back to Bitcoin. It looks like the low was in December 17th, December 18th, and we had a climb of about $1,400, $6,600 all the way to today's $8,100. That's a $1,400 increase, guys, in the past 3 weeks. And I really do feel like we're beginning the major uptick for the next Bitcoin bull run. It's going to play out over the next 1+ years. 2021, I'm holding to it, guys. 2021 is the year of glory. It's sure looking like it. This is not financial advice. And so let's take a look at Bitcoin Cash. Again, December 17th appears to have been the low and went from $176 all the way to $267. EOS went from a low of $2.20 all the way back up over the $3 mark. And let's take a look at Ethereum while we're at it, since that's another top contender and one of my favorite coins as well. And if you look at Ethereum's price charts, not as exciting as those last ones, unfortunately. Also worth noting that CoinMarketCap conveniently remembered my toggled off settings here, which is really nice. I like that a lot. Thank you, CoinMarketCap. And from a low of $123 on December 18th, we've seen some kind of measly gains, $143 today. So ironically, despite the Ethereum 2.0 looming on the horizon, Ethereum has not seen tremendous gains as of yet, only $20 in the past 3 weeks. But I do expect that could change because not all coins move in tandem. They definitely move at different points. So this is exciting, guys. I'm very happy about this. We're finally seeing some price movement upward for the altcoins. CNBC's Rand Nooner definitely thinks so. Breaking news, it's alt season. And while we're on the topic of Bitcoin prices, I fully believe that in my lifetime, I'm going to be able to fly to the moon and step foot on it for the price of less than 1 Bitcoin. And it is possible we could see that in the next decade if everything keeps accelerating. It's really the crossroads of when the price of Bitcoin intersects with the technology of the likes of SpaceX and space transportation. When the space transportation gets advanced enough and cheap enough and trial run enough, the price will come down over time. It will probably start very high. It probably will be millions of dollars for the first explorers to go to the moon, for civilian explorers, regular citizens, not just government agencies. But I do expect the price to come down. And eventually over time, I know this may be hard to believe, but I fully expect the price to come down to under $100,000 for a trip to the moon, for example. That might be 20 years out. I'm not sure exactly when that will be. but there will come a point where the price of Bitcoin has exceeded so great and the costs of SpaceX or space travel has come down so tremendously that I will be able to go on the moon for less than 1 Bitcoin. And I invite you guys to join me. I think that'll be an awesome, awesome celebration of our literal moon arriving. And as I said here, that'll give new meaning to the phrase Bitcoin is going to the moon, because we're going to literally realize that. And here's some interesting perspective. This is a post from Plan B. He's referring to Hal Finney talking about $100 trillion for the market cap of Bitcoin. And he starts off by talking about the limited supply of Bitcoin having 21 million coins and how he finds that interesting. And I want to read these last few paragraphs to you. As an amusing thought experiment, imagine that Bitcoin is successful and becomes the dominant payment system in use throughout the world. Then the total value of the currency should be equal to the total value of all the wealth in the world. Current estimates of total worldwide household wealth that I have found range from $100 trillion to $300 trillion. With 20 million coins, that gives each coin a value of about $10 million. So the possibility of generating coins today, keep in mind this was 10 years ago, with a few cents of compute time may be quite a good bet, with the payoff of something like 100 million to 1. Even if the odds of Bitcoin succeeding to this degree are slim, are they really 100 million to 1 against? Something to think about. Hal Finney. Hal Finney was one of the first people that Satoshi, I think if not the first person that Satoshi sent some Bitcoin to. So he was very early on in the evolution of Bitcoin. Just some interesting points of view there. And I think he's on the right page here. I think that we will see not only the fiat dollar lose value continually as it has and as it will continue to do, but we will see Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies with solid fundamentals continue to absorb that inflated value, that loss of value, when people realize that there is a limited supply with many of these cryptocurrencies and they are governed by math and they're not dictated by the whims of government officials who endlessly print money into the coffers of the politicians' hands just to fund war and to steal from us, behind our backs and covertly. And of course, there's taxation, but then there's also just inflation. And it's sort of like being stolen from the left and being stolen on from the right. And cryptocurrency is definitely a passive, peaceful resistance against that governmental overstep and overreach. And anyways, I'll get off my high horse here, but I'm really excited about the value proposition and just the wealth transfer that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies bring to the table here to free mankind and to enable him to have control over his money once again. So I think Hal Finney is right on the money here. And I have to follow this up with a burn for Peter Schiff. Again, I love the guy, but he asks for it when he talks about Bitcoin. I mean, first of all, I'm pretty sure he owns some. I'm just going to say that right here. I am pretty sure that Peter Schiff owns some. I was watching a video where it had an audio clip of Jeffrey Tucker, one of Peter Schiff's very good friends. And at the end of the video, Jeffrey Tucker was alluding to Peter Schiff being a Bitcoin noob and that he had bought some Bitcoin Cash. He was looking at Monero, things of that nature. So I think he owns it. And I think that he speaks, unfortunately, he's a liar. I mean, he's acting like Bitcoin is nothing. And to all his millions of followers, or however many he has, he talks down on crypto and Bitcoin, and yet he's secretly accumulating in the back. I don't have any respect for people like that because I think that's really, really low. With you guys, I put my portfolio percentages on the screen. I show you what I'm holding. If I make a trade, I share it with you guys. I don't even have an obligation to do that, but I just do in the name of transparency because I am talking about cryptocurrency with you guys. And I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing and thinking with my own crypto. Again, not financial advice ever. It's never financial advice to you guys, but I like to share my journey with you. But someone like Peter Schiff, who doesn't talk the talk, but he is walking the walk, it's behind the back. It's kind of sneaky. I'll try to find that link and I'll put it here in the description below so you guys can watch it, whereby at the end you see Jeffrey Tucker basically ousting him that he does hold crypto. If I have that incorrectly, then I'll definitely stand corrected. But I think he's saying one thing to the public and doing another thing in reality, which is not uncommon for these large corporations or wealthy individuals. But, I wish they would just be honest. I got that you want to accumulate, so then just shut up or share what you're doing and be honest with people. If you have a lot of people following, I don't know how you can sleep well at night and mislead the public when you're doing the complete opposite of what you're saying. So anyways, let's take a little stab at Peter Schiff here with the June 2011 statement that he has made. It's a great animation. And just real quick, so to preface this, basically he stated that if he had $10,000 at the beginning of 2011 and put it in Bitcoin versus putting it in gold, which one would be a better performer? Well, let's take a look with some visuals.
If I'm gonna put my wealth, if I'm gonna take $10,000 and store them in Bitcoms, that a year or two from now anybody is going to accept them for anything. What if it's a fad and nobody wants them? See, the thing with gold is gold has value all by itself. If I don't have to be able to spend it, I can melt it down, I can make it into jewelry, I can use it in electronics. It has all sorts of properties that make gold intrinsically value all by itself, right? It doesn't have to be traded for another product. It can be used.
Okay, so obviously he was completely wrong. Let's go to this last slide here. We're talking $4 million out of that original $10,000 investment in a 9-year period versus basically the same that he started with. So gold here has shown to be a very good store of value. This is a store of value. Store of value proponents kind of miss the boat here when they're talking about Bitcoin as a store of value. It's a accumulator of value. It's an absorber of a wealth transfer, and it surpasses the standards for a store of value. Gold has been pretty much a store of value. So if you had $10,000 in gold 10 years ago, you'd probably have about $10,000 today. Not the case with Bitcoin. You'd have $4 million. That's quite the store of value. So it's very clear to see how wrong Peter Schiff's prediction was. So if you want advice on Bitcoin, do not follow Peter Schiff's advice. If you want to make some money with some crypto, he is not the one to be listening to because, unfortunately, he's chosen to actively mislead the public and be kind of just a cage rattler who gathers attention. And I'm pretty sure it's because he's so heavily invested in gold. His business is gold-based. Everything he does is about gold. So he's talking down the competition. But the competition is going to absorb his market and surpass it. I predict in the next 5 to 10 years, the market cap of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies together will surpass the total market cap of gold, if only briefly at first, and then forevermore, it will eclipse gold's market cap. All right. So guys, I live in Puerto Rico. I love it here. It's a beautiful tropical places, tons of beaches, beautiful islands. So here's a map of Puerto Rico in relation to Florida, USA, and the northern part of South America. And we're going to just zoom in here. This site is volcanosandearthquakes.com. And so I live on the north part of this island, thank God, because on the south part of the island for the last week, we have experienced an enormous number of earthquakes, most of which are very low category on the Richter scale. However, when you go to this site, you can actually filter out the smaller earthquakes. You can filter out the M3, the M4, and when you start getting into the M5 and above, let's take a look here. Let's actually click on M6 over the past 2 weeks. And you can see that we actually had one M6 category earthquake, and that knocked out a number of power plants. And most of the island lost power for at least a couple days, myself included. I lost power for 4 days here. And again, I don't live here. I live in the north part of the island. So when we click on M5, you can see a little pattern here. And just interesting to note, all these earthquakes are right around the southern part of the island. So these guys have been seeing a lot more of the devastation than we have in the north. And yet I still feel the earthquakes. Every one of these earthquakes here on the screen right now, I have felt over the past week. Some are stronger than others. This morning was actually one of the biggest ones. It was this one right here in red. And so anyways, there are some trade-offs in living in the tropical life. You are in the middle of some giant tectonic plates. There's a Caribbean plate here, and they are constantly shifting. This is the most and largest earthquakes that the island has seen in the past 100 years, and following right on the coattails of Hurricane Maria. So that's quite unfortunate. They have to rebuild a lot of the power structure and the infrastructure down here. Luckily, they have gotten it back up to date so that we have power again as of 2 days ago. I didn't have power for about 4 days. And this is just a testament to being prepared for disasters. I had been prepared, and I had a generator ready, I had a portable air conditioner ready, I had a bunch of extension cords, and I used all of this to keep myself going. I had some extra propane, a bunch of empty gas tanks. I had this all ready just in case, and it did come in handy. So I was living off a generator for the past 4 days and making trips to the gas station to pick up 20 gallons of gas at a time, but then those ran out of gas, so I had to go to other gas stations. So it's been very testing, very trying, and I'm just glad to say that it looks like the power situation has stabilized and much of the island has power now. I think it's above 80%, and I hope that we get to that 100% very soon. But just wanted to give you a little bit of a reality of what it's like living here. It's not all tropical beaches and palm trees. There are hurricane threats every once in a while, and there are earthquake threats as well. Didn't know that when I was coming here, but I wouldn't change anything and I wouldn't move back. It's still a beautiful island and you can survive through it. You just have to be prepared and be smart about what you're doing. And I guarantee you it's going to be worth it during the next Bitcoin bull run when prices shoot to the moon. I'm going to be very glad that I was here and I withstood a few earthquakes, not the end of the world. Now, just for fun, I'm going to share a regular life thing. I've been doing the keto diet for the past month and a half. And I've been having very good results. It's a really interesting diet. And just to show you one aspect of it, this is my weight, my body weight. I'm not a big guy, right? I'm not even particularly fat. I'm a quite slender guy. But there's some visceral fat down here, that I wanted to get rid of. I wanted to get some of those Arnold Schwarzenegger abs, those Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan abs. And they're starting to come back. I can actually feel them now, and they're right there. And that's because keto diet, man. This keto diet is fucking amazing. I mean, you can see from the graph here, I've actually lost more than this. I've lost a total of at least 12 pounds in the past month and a half. And it's all been that visceral stomach fat and not the muscle itself. And so why did I start this diet? That wasn't the reason to start the diet. That was just a side benefit. I've been kind of hypoglycemic. I have blood sugar sensitivities, and I've had it for the past 15 years. And I decided to do something about this. And I heard that the keto diet not only can mitigate this issue with blood sugar, but it can actually cure it entirely. And I thought that was worth trying. It can take up to 6 months, supposedly, to cure something like that. And this is not doctor advice. I don't know if I need to make a disclaimer like I do with the financial stuff. This is not doctor advice. I am not your doctor. Consult a physician for any concerns you may have before embarking on a diet like this. But this is how it works. So first of all, the pancreas creates insulin, and insulin is that substance that breaks down carbohydrates and glucose and stores it and burns it. And some of my understanding of this might not be perfect, but the pancreas is the organ responsible for that. 99% of people operate with their pancreas and insulin, and a large portion of society is diabetic or hypoglycemic, like I am, and has that issue. Well, the keto diet is really clever and interesting in that it's a complete change of how your body operates. So instead of using your pancreas and insulin to break down carbs and sugar, what you do on the keto diet is you actually starve your body of sugar and carbohydrates. And it takes a bit of a period. There's an adjustment period of about 1 to 2 weeks. It can vary per person. But what you're doing in this period is you're just eating like less than 20 grams of carbohydrates per day. And I highly recommend using an app tracker to track your carbohydrates because it's very easy to not realize how many carbohydrates you're eating. And in a nutshell, this is what's happening. You're starving your body of sugar and carbohydrates. You're intentionally omitting and limiting how many carbohydrates you put in your body. And by doing so, the body is able to adapt. And actually what happens after a period of 7 to 14 days, give or take, the body will burn through its existing carbohydrates fuel supply in the body. And when there's no more left, what'll happen is the body will seek an alternate fuel source. And what you're doing is you're going to give it a high quantity of fat. The ratio in the diet is approximately 80% fat, like 15% protein and 5% carbohydrates, a very small amount of carbohydrates. And you don't do a predominance of protein because the body will then turn the protein into sugar. So what you do is you do 80% fat approximately of your diet. And it's so counterintuitive, but it's really quite amazing. The body is able to adapt. And instead of using the pancreas and generating insulin to break down carbohydrates and sugar, your liver then breaks down fat and you give your pancreas a break. And that's how it's able to cure conditions like hypoglycemia. It's giving the pancreas a rest. And if you do this for an extended period of time, like 6 months, there's a chance that that might heal the pancreas. And that's what I'm hoping. So right now, my body is operating with the liver and it's burning fat. And I'll tell you, it's pretty crazy. So you not only lose a buttload of weight, at the beginning, it's a lot of water weight, but then you actually feel the fat leaving your body and it burns it quite fast. And to get this weight loss here, I did also limit my calories a bit. I would try to stick with about 2 meals a day. And it's very doable because the thing with burning fat, as opposed to burning carbohydrates or burning protein, is that fat is a very clean fuel source. Who would have thought? But fat is a very clean energy. It burns for longer. You get more calories out of it. You get twice the calories out of every unit of fat, out of every gram of fat that you do versus every gram of carbohydrates or every gram of protein. So you get longer, more steady, cleaner energy with fat. And it's crazy to think that I could sit there and eat bacon for breakfast and cheese and then have heavy whipping cream and then lose weight. But that is the matter of fact because you've converted your body. Now, obviously, if you hadn't converted your body to burning fat and you were, just came off of eating potato chips and French fries and bread, and then you have bacon, cheese, and heavy whipping cream, you're going to get fatter because your body is still burning the carbohydrates and the sugar and it's storing the fat. But when you've converted your body to burning fat, it then burns these as fuel. This is your fuel source. So if you're getting hungry, you need some more fat when you're on a keto diet. And one of the tremendous benefits I've noticed is I'm able to go a lot longer between meals. And mentally, the state of clarity is remarkable. I have this constant state of mental acuity that's just so sharp and so keen and mentally productive. I'm able to just solve problem after problem and be productive all day long. And I noticed recently, if my energy starts to get low and I feel a little weaker on this diet, it's because I haven't eaten enough fat and I need to eat some more. And when I load up and I eat again, boom, I'm back to that high, sharp mental state. So for me, this is the ultimate weapon. If you want to be clear-headed, clear-minded, forget medication, forget drugs, do the keto diet and experience the state of ketosis. And there's so much to learn on this. I highly recommend Dr. Berg for a lot of education on the subject of the keto diet. I feel like he's an authority on the subject. Look him up on YouTube. He makes tremendously high quality and educational videos. So Dr. Berg, B-E-R-G, on YouTube. And the last thing I'll just share with you guys is that it's not just a guesswork diet. It's a scientific diet because there are ways to test the level of ketones in your body. And again, the ketones is what's breaking down the fat. And so as you begin this diet and as you starve your body off the carbs, you will increase steadily the amount of ketones in the bloodstream. And those ketones will break down the fat, but you don't have them right away. And it can take 7 to 14 days, for example. But you don't have to just guess when you're in the state of ketosis. And I've tried all 3 devices. I bought a breathalyzer that tests the ketones in the breath. I bought urine strips that test the ketones in the urine, and I bought a blood test monitor to test the ketones in the blood. And after having tried all 3 of those, I would say that the blood test monitor, hands down, is the most accurate by far. If I had to only pick one test, I would use that one. It's a little unnerving at first. You have to prick your finger, and there's a little bit of blood, and the thought of stabbing yourself in the finger with this little lance device is not the most thrilling, but you get used to it. And it gets a lot easier. Honestly, now I can just do it. And you want to be in a range of 1.5 to 3. And these days I am steadily in the 2.0 range. On a low day, maybe I'll wake up, it'll be 1.8. But usually I'm like 2.2, 2.4, sometimes as high as 2.9, which is right in that sweet spot of 1.5 to 3.0 on the ketones scale. And I get that number with the little blood test. And you put it in the strip, you put it in the device, it tells you in 10 seconds, your score is 2.5. And so you have a scientifically empirical way of looking at your level of ketones in the body. So you have fact to back up. Are you doing it right? And that's what I love about this diet. It's not guesswork, it's math. There's a number in front of you. The level of ketones dictates how well you're doing on the keto diet. And the urine strips were I didn't really care for them because the method of acquiring it requires peeing on a urine strip or in a cup. And secondly, because it's not as accurate. There's like, 6 shades of color and you have to line up your pee strip with the shade of color and try to ascertain which one it is. And it's very broad. It's not as fine of a reading as the digital scale is. And I really like the digital readout on the blood test. It goes 1.9, 2.2, as opposed to like, oh, you're in the 1.5 to 2 range on the pee strip. And then on the breathalyzer, I wish it worked. Maybe I got a bad device. I don't know. But this thing was just off. It said I was in dangerous levels, needed to seek medical attention. And it wasn't the case because I would do the blood test in the urine strip and it was totally safe. And I felt great. So the breathalyzer, I wouldn't recommend, maybe when they perfect the technology. But if you're going to embark on this diet, I highly, highly recommend you invest the time and effort into getting the proper testing equipment. So get the little blood testing device. It can test the blood glucose as well as ketone levels. And it's really useful. And I recommend charting it like I've done. Well, this is my weight, but I've done the same thing with my ketone levels and track your progress day to day so you can feel the victory of making the change and see the benefits for yourself. Because there is the keto flu transition phase for some people at the beginning where, it can be a little difficult. It can be a little painful to wean yourself off of carbs. Those cravings can kick in and you can just be like, I need some freaking carbs. Where's my cake? Where's my bread? Give me anything. Give me some sugar, a sugary drink. And you can get through that stage. It is possible. I've done it. Others have done it. And these devices help because they show you that you're making progress. And like I said, the mental clarity and the weight loss are more than worth it. And there are desserts you can make that are delicious and amazing that don't have carbohydrates in them and are sweetened with things like stevia or monk fruit extract or erythritol and these other sweeteners that don't have any glycemic index. Okay, guys, I think I've kind of just blabbered on a lot. As you can see, I am into health as well. I do like to eat healthy. And let me know if you appreciate this kind of content or if you want me to stick more to cryptocurrency, and I'll definitely do that. And I put it at the end because I realize not everyone wants to watch this. Thank you very much if you watched all this way and all this content. I really appreciate having you. I think I'll leave it there for now. Again, Dr. Berg for the Keto Help. I'm super excited about the crypto bull run as ever. Have a great day. I'll talk to you again soon.
I got a voice, we got a voice, you got a choice, I got a choice, we got a choice, you got a voice, I got a voice, we got a voice, you got a choice, I got a choice, we got a choice.